I hope we are doing fine. And you can hear me sounded well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So today's session is going to be about starter data description. Let me look for that, day 5. Data analysis packages. Here, data descriptions. After the exercise of data import, which I said is the first thing we're going to do once you open your STATA. The next thing is to have a data set in place. And once you have a data set in place, the first step after having the data in place is to make sure you understand your data. You understand your data. So STATA has several commands which will help you to understand your data well. And this is what we're going to cover in today's session. So I expect today's session is not going to be long because we are using it for 2 hours now. But for today's, it will be around 1 hour and 1 hour and a half. Because we're just going to deal with data description. Data description commands, this one will not edit or alter anything in the nature of the data. It's just to give you the content of the data. What do you expect to find when you dive deeper into the particular data? The first thing to know always, since you're going to describe data is about variables, and the variables are captured through columns because the spreadsheet structure always will have rows and columns. And since you're going to deal with variables, number one is to understand the STATA data type or variable types. And the STATA has got 2 broad categories of data types. Either you'll have type numeric data or you'll have type string data. Because the rest of commands, how are you going to use? There are some of the functions which require string as input, string data as input. Some of the functions which require numeric data as input, and some of the functions are generic. They can take any of the data type. So to understand the nature of the data type is very important in order to avoid some confusions which may come later. So for numeric data type, STATA store 5 kinds of numeric data types. The data can be stored as byte, int, long, float, and double. And why do we have these 5 categories? You're going to see very soon. But the criteria is based on the type of numbers, integer vis-a-vis decimals. If the data is integer, is going to be stored in one of the 3 types, byte, int, long. If it is decimal, it is float or double. But also, why do we have byte, int, long for integer? Is because of the memory they consume. Byte will consume less memory than int, and int less than long, as we're going to see very soon. As for the other part is a string. String is reserved for text data. So any kind of text data will be captured as a string. And now we have native strings. These native strings include all forms of letters, wherever the value is captured by using alphabetical letters from A to Z. That is by nature a text data. Also symbol, like at, like $, like comma, and any other which is not a text or number, we call them symbols, also will be captured in string format, but also numbers as well, because you can capture number but with string format. When you see it from your eye, you see it as a number, but the way software, STATA software recognizes this one, it is recognized as a string. We're going to see this case later on. And even string stored in two forms. We have fixed string length, which is str hash, and this hash stands for number. It can be 1, 2, 5, 10, 100, or string long. These two are going to be clarified very soon. So here, for numeric, we are talking about 5 kinds of numeric. Byte, int, and long, these 3 are for integers, while float and double, these 2 are for decimals. Now, why do we have 3 for integer? It depends on the memory they consume. Like, if your variable contains integer values, which range between -127 and +100, then that particular variable will only consume 1 byte from your STATA memory. And at the moment you have integer values which exceed this, like 101 plus and minus 128 plus, the byte now will move, even if you have just one particular value, will move from consuming 1 byte to 2 bytes. So from 101 until 32,740, and from minus 108 till minus 32,767. This will consume 2 bytes. And whichever value exceed here, which is still in integer form, will consume 4 bytes. So these 3 are for integers. If you have any decimal number, even if it is 1.2, because someone can say 1.2 ranges between -127 and +100. This is only valid for integer. The moment you have decimal, it will start with a float and it will consume 4 bytes. So for this point, you understand that always integer consume less memory compared to decimal values. And the number is very large, up to 10 to the power 38. And whatever number exceed here, it will consume 80 bytes and it is referred as double. So what is the takeaway from this point? A numeric variable cannot consume more than 80 bytes. The maximum memory which can be consumed by a numeric variable is 80 bytes. Why this? Because later on we're going to learn that will be converting variables from string to numeric and vice versa. So sometimes someone can ask, why should I keep my data in numeric formats and not string or vice versa? One among the possible reasons is to make sure that you use less memory as much as you can if you store your data into numeric form. That is part of numeric. How about a string? Remember string, we said you have either string hash or string L. So for string hash is like this one. String 1, it means it can hold only 1 character, like A or B or only C, even if it is the whole variable, but each cell will hold only 1 character. But when you have string 2, this one has the ability to hold 2 characters, like AB or AD or CZ, something like that. So it can hold 2 characters. And each time you add 1 more character, you consume 1 more byte, so 2 bytes. If you add, if it is a STR4, it means you can hold up to 4 characters. Like the word male, male is constructed by using 4 characters. M-A-L-E, male. But female you're instructed by using 6 characters, FEMALE. So if you have 4 or less characters in that particular string variable, it will consume 4 bytes. But if you have more than that, now it will depend the maximum number of character to one of the possible cells of that column will define the maximum bytes reserved for that particular variable. And it can go up to 2045 for STATA IC, I think. But for STATA MP, it can go all the way up to string L. So this L, it can hold up to 2 billion characters. Up to 2 billion characters. Yeah? And here, you see this bytes. What actually is bytes? When you have million bytes, million bytes is equivalent to 1 megabytes, famous known as MB. And when we have 1,000 MB megabytes is equivalent to 1 GB gigabyte. So when you have 2 billion bytes is equivalent to 2 gigabytes. So string L will make your file very huge. So if you have so many string variables in your data set, it means you are going to have a file which is huge in size. You may have a few columns, but when it comes to memory, you may find that the file maybe comprise a large number of MBs compared to someone who stored most of the columns in numeric form. So this is the part of introduction to how data are stored in STATA. Now the commands which you're going to learn today are this one. We have describe, we have look for, we have DS, we have codebook, we have inspect, compare, browse and edit, list, summarize, tablet. In learning, we're not going to follow this order, but this is what we're expecting to see. Most of the time, I will use example data. We have covered the lesson of how we can import example data. And if I need any other data, I can also import it because the lesson of data import is already covered. We'll start with the command browse. The command browse, we have seen this earlier. I think it was in day 1 when we were doing STATA windows. Among the 10 windows of STATA, one of them is browse window or edit window. Why this is important? Because most of the time, we prefer to see our raw data with our naked eye. So when you put the command, command browse and edit. So the first one that you're going to learn is command browse and edit. So if I come here and type help, as I said, I'm going to use help a lot for us to get used to it. But later on, I can ignore this. So when I tap browse, STATA always has these features. Commands which are related will always be brought together in help. So like edit and the window, these two are related. These two are related. And if you want to capture this through menu, you go to data, then data editor, then data editor edit. And you follow this process. Like here, you go to data, then data editor, edit, or data editor, browse. So always help will give you both direct command and how you can access the same command through menu. So here, I will start with the browse. As we can recall, the browse mode will not give you the chance to edit values from cell, but the edit will do. But what do we see here from syntax. Var list, if, in, no label, all these are enclosed with a square bracket, which means the basic command is just browse. And even this browse is underlined in BR. So simply, you can type BR and you will be executing the whole command. So this is the best version of browse. So when I type browse, so first of all, I must have data in place. So yes, use auto to comma clear. Comma clear. This is my data here, but also I can use the concept of frame to capture other forms of data, two forms of data. I can come here and say frame create NLSW, and then here I'll say frame NLSW, and then SIS use NLSW88, comma clear, and the other one is frame BP, frame create BP, and then frame BP. Here we'll capture SIS use BP wide, comma clear, and then the default I'll put it down here. So number one, I will clear all existing frame. So here frame reset, clear all existing frames. So this, when I type here a frame dir, it will show me all kinds of frames which I have. So you see I have default, which is auto, and I have other NLSW as well as BP. So I can switch between these as I want. So when you write browse, you will see your data which you have in your current frame. You can see here, the frame is default, because what we always use without calling any other frame, it is called a default frame. And the moment I switch a frame, you'll see here, now you are going to browse another data. Like if now I switch, I say frame change to what? Auto. If you do frame change auto, you will see now here in browse, frame change, it's supposed to be frame change. Oh no, not auto, NLSW, sorry. Frame change NLSW, you'll see now in your browse, you have switched now to another data. And if I say here frame change BP, it will browse BP. It will browse BP. You don't need to write another browse. You just need to switch your frame. And we'll see it from here. Now our frame is BP, and our current data is BP wide, the file name. But if I want to go back to original, it means I'll say frame change default. Default is always there. We're not going to create a default. When you load any data without creating a frame, it will always go to default. So you see, we went back to default, and you see it here. The data which is in default is auto 2. as simple like that. So this is browse. What is the difference between this? In browse, if I try to double click this cell, there is no way I can change this. So it is always powerful to see your data the same way as you see your Excel file. This one. And the counterpart of that is edit. Edit. So if I say edit, it will give me this message. You are switching to say yes. This time around, if I want to edit this data, it is possible. My iDevice always be in the browse mode. Because if it happens, you press your keyboard accidentally, and you were displaying the browse window, the edit window, you may change the values without you knowing, although the command will be printed, but be careful. So I prefer to use browse match. That is the basic syntax, and I will always say this, basic syntax. Now I can modify this syntax as I want. How? Let's just go to help. Now I'll keep using browse. You see here, var list. So you can browse by picking specific variables. By picking specific variables from there. Here, we have learned several techniques. Browse with var list. Okay, so here browse. You can pick several variables for browse. Maybe you want to put your attention in these 3 variables. Then you capture them, you put them here. I'll go back to browse. So you see that now you see only this. It doesn't mean the other variables are not there. They are there. But check here in this window. The one which you have selected, you'll find them, they have tick. They have tick, which means you can also add more manually from here. Maybe I need also to put length as part of my variable. You don't need to go back. You just need to put a tick here. You can also check this to add them in your browse mode. And if there are some which you don't want to see, you can uncheck them. You can uncheck them from here, as simple like that. So this is browse. You can use any technique which you have learned in var list, including you can say that I want to browse all variables from rep 78 to gear ratio. Rep 78 to gear ratio by using this hyphen. So you see here from rep 78 to gear ratio, all of them are part of browsed columns. So for var list, I'll stop here. You just go back to the lesson of var list. The good thing we used the browse to demonstrate that lesson. It's not something new. Another thing about browse is if or in. These two, we are going to learn them very soon, so I'll skip them. But you may also need to use no label. You may also need to use no label. Like this time around, let me switch it to NLSW. Frame change NLSW, because you have so many labeled values from there. You see this one. But if you use the command no label, browse will ignore all these labels and display only plain values. So if you come here and say browse, and then let me pick few variables from here. Race, married, never married, these 3. Race, married, never married, for example. And then I add no label. no label. And from example, you can just type null, no L for no label. So here, you see now, these three variables, they don't have labels anymore. What if I browse the whole thing? If I browse the whole thing, you see that also no label take effect. No label take effect. How can I reinstate that? Unfortunately, there is no way you can revoke this unless you call or you input again your data. Or maybe we'll look for that, but I'm not sure if you can revoke this after putting no label. Because there is no command like browse then label, something like this. Oh, it is there. Wow, bingo. I didn't put it, but it is there. So you want to revoke this, you use the label. So no label, browse no label, browse no label, ignore all value labels. Ignore all value labels, like in this case. And if you put a label, activate value labels like this. So you can use that approach also. So this is your browse. What can I say from here? You're going to see several colors in your browse window: red, black, and blue. If I switch back to default, frame change, so that I can see the auto data. Here you will see this. You will see this. We have columns which are red color, black color, and blue color. What is the meaning of those colors? When you see red, it means that the variable is a string data type. And when you see black, it is numeric, but with no label, value label. And when you see blue, it is also numeric, but no value label. And this is the meaning of this one. STATA always has two main of data type, string and numeric. But for numeric can contain a label or can not have label. Let's see. Okay. Miko, I thought this was the earlier message.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, can ignore it.
Oh yes, so this is the meaning behind those colors. So instead of going back and try to look if my data is string or numeric, a browse can help you to see those by just checking the colors as you see them here. So that is about a browse, unless someone has a question. If not, then I'm going to clarify the use of if and in. I can say more than 70 to 80% of STATA commands have got if and in subcommands. These are not the main commands. These are subcommands. They are not main because you cannot start with if the way you start with a browse. You see here in edit, you have if, you have in. You are going to see describe not have if or in, but the code book has if, in, and so many other commands like here replace, help, replace has got if, in, generator has got if in. So you need to understand the use of if and in because it is almost everywhere. Most of the commands, they do have it. So here we are. Number 2, the use of if and in subcommands or keywords. When should you use if and when you should use in? I will still use browse to demonstrate that concept. And once you understand it from here, you can use it anywhere. If and in, they are both used to ignore observations. This is what I can say. But if ignore observations by using conditional statements, so you must use conditional operators. You must use conditional operators. And sometimes we have conditional functions. They are also there. And we have covered about conditional operators. And if you have more than one conditional statement, you may also be forced to use logical operators. So the if require 3 things. Once you type if, after that, it will be followed with a variable name. After variable name, it will be followed with a conditional operator. After conditional operator, it will be followed with the conditional criteria. Like in this case, if I say browse if price is less than 4,500, here price is the variable name, less than is the conditional operator, 4,500 is the criteria. So here, in a place of a conditional operator, you can use either of the 6, depending on your case. And in place of variable name, you can use any of the variable name available in your data set, if that is what you're interested with. And here, it will depend now. Do you have a numeric type? Or do you have a string type? If it is a numeric type, you put a plain value just like this. But if it is a string type, you must put them within quotes. You must put them within quotes. And I will demonstrate this before I move any further. So first case, I will start with I'm going to start with a numeric case. Browse if price is less than 4,500. I will use the same example. Since I didn't specify any variable, it will do this for the entire data set. Now, if you want to know that if this has worked or not, check your position number. You have 1, then you have 3. Why 2 is not here? Because 2 is not qualified. It has price greater than or equal to 4,500. You have 3, then 7, then 10, then 14. So wherever the position number is not observed here, it means that particular record is not qualified to be part of this browse list. So this is it. This is it. So this is the use of if statement. What if you need any other use? You can say browse if less than or equal, greater than or equal. So this you can try on your own. When you have numeric data, which is ratio or interval case, then you can always use this approach, this for conditional operators. But if your variable is in categorical form, if your variable is in categorical form, then you can either use equal or not equal. And the equal for conditional operator is double equal. And the not equal, you start with exclamation symbol, then equal sign. So in this case, before I demonstrate this, I would like to convert this into string. And to do this, I will write codes or commands which will come to, let me check. If I have data, I don't need to write those codes. I think I may have data somewhere. There is data called Beth, which we have covered last week. Data import. When we are doing data import, Beth, yes, this one. There is a data called Beth. So I can come here and change my directory, and I'll add another frame. Frame create Beth. So frame Beth. Frame Beth. Then what? So since this is file which is coming from my local disk, then I have to change directory. I have to write cd, because other than that, if you do this, it will not work. It will say the file not found, because it have to go to browse. So I have to locate my data. So practice data. I have shared this folder also from in your Google Drive. Not here. It is capacity building. And then it's STATA 35 beginner practice data. Here. So now if I do this, this one will work. Like that. So if I want to demonstrate the issue of browse for string, let me do here frame change. I'll go to Beth. Frame change Beth. You see this? I have two scenarios here, and I think I will add the other one. Let me create another gender. I'll say here generate. The generate command you're going to learn later. String gender, or just write s gender equals to string, because these are things which tend to confuse people a lot. It's gender. And just write gender because the other one is written in caps. Gender. It's gender after gender. So it is here. So I'll use this to clarify the concept of browse, because people tend to confuse this a lot. So number one, numeric browse. I can come here and say browse if what? Browse if gender, this is a numeric, if gender equals to 1, for example. Browse if gender equals to 1. Here, I say variable is numeric. When variable is numeric, use plain value. Okay? Use plain value. So as you can see here, we have successfully browsed by using this one. This is the first case. This is the first case. So I will write browse to remove this effect so that I can use another approach. Now, sometimes I may wish to browse by using labeled numeric. So people here most of the time tend to confuse. Someone can come here and say browse if, since what they see here is female, then they put here sex equals to female. You will always get error. Why? The moment you have text, you cannot use this plain unless it is a variable name, like sex. Sex here, we are using it plain because it is a variable name, but female is a value from sex. So you put this as a plain, expect error. So this is number one. This is the mistake people tend to commit when they face labeled data. So this is number one. Number two, someone can say, oh, since this is text, then let me enclose with quotes. This one, it means this value is a string. So you'll get the error of type mismatch. Oh, now they have improved it. I think this is STATA new versions. Oh, we have another sex. Oh, yes, it is here. I'm supposed to use capital S. I was wondering. I'll tell you why this has worked. Let me use capital S. For this one, you see type mismatch. Type mismatch. The other one working because you can also use a part of the name of the variable. So the moment I type the sex, STATA come and pick this one, even if it is sex alpha, even this gender, you can just type GE and it can work. Or you can type this preterm, you can just type pre and it can work. So initially it picked it from here, that's why it has worked. So this one, even though you see sex female here, but it will give you this error type mismatch. Why? Because you have placed the string data or string numeric value while the variable itself is numeric. Because what you see is just a label. What is the solution? The actual solution when you have labeled data, check the values which are captured within a cell. Like if I place my cursor here in female, you see one here. If I place my cursor here in male, you see two. So female is coded 1 and the male is coded 2. So if I want to browse the female, simply, I need to put the numeric value which is captured within memory. For labeled value data, use numeric and not label. Use code. Let me write code and not label, just like in this case. Here we have browsed only female. Only female. So these are two cases of numeric. We have non-labeled numeric. So the value you see, you use them directly. At when it is labeled numeric, make sure you check the code behind that one. Like in this case, hypertension, it is coded non-hyper, it is coded 0, while hypertensive is coded 1. So I can come here and say browse browse if hypertension, and I'll show you. Instead of writing the whole word hypertension, you can just write hype, like the mistake which I counted by hype equals to 1. You see it will work. So all hypertensives are here. All of them are here. So like that, you can use numeric labeled. You just check the code behind the labeled value. So this is the case of numeric labeled. So let us go back to string now. What if your data is a string? For string, variable is a string. Use, in close quotes, use value with quotes. And how many operators can you use? Only this or not equal. Because less than and greater than, they don't have meaning for string. As for the rest of numeric, you can use greater than and less than with is. But here only that. Now check this. I want to browse if what? Now I'm in string. I have gender and I have sex alpha. If this is the case here, I want to use gender. Gender. Someone may be tempted to say, let me browse if gender equals to 2. And they can just put it 2. You'll also get the error of type mismatch, because 2, when you put plain 2, it means the gender variable is a numeric, something which is not true. You see here, type mismatch. This gender is not numeric. Since it is not numeric, even if for you see 2, you remember this statement here. Even what? Even numbers can be treated as text, and this is among the case. Even though you see number, they are treated as text as long as you see red color. So here, if I indeed want to browse the 2, I need to enclose this 2 with the quotes because it is the string data. Like this, it will work, no problem. Like this one, the case is clarified. So let me go back to original. What if it is plain text? The good thing about a string, wherever it is a string, what you see here from your next A is what is captured here behind the memory. So if it is male here, it is male. If it is female here, it is female. So what? It means if you want to browse, you write your variable name, then you put equal sign, and then you put that text value within quotes, and you are good here. I think the invalid browse if. I have missed the if. Browse if, like this. Like this. If it is a string, if it is a string, what if I can say browse if sex f is greater than 2? Will this work? Greater than 1, for example. You see here, type mismatch. Why type mismatch? Let me put this one. Let me use gender. And close this with the quotes. See it here. I think nowadays they have improved this. So you can even use greater than or less than. Because I see how it's working. I'm wondering. Let me see this. Yes, it is working now, even if it is a string. Yeah. So you can still use those greater than and less than. They have improved this in these advanced versions. Back then in STATA 15 backwards, you could not use this. Yeah. Okay. So these are the use of if command. And we have one conditional statement. What if I have two conditional statements? What if I have two conditional statements? Conditional statements, it means when you have more than one, then you will have either to use and or to use or. You'll be forced to use and or to use or. Like I want to browse, but within the range of 4,500 and 7,500. If you just put this, it will go up to maximum. And if you just put this, it will go from 7,500 to minimum. But if you use the and, you will bound this. So here you have first conditional statement, you have second conditional statement. So for multiple statement, if condition require two things to be specified. Number one, those conditional statements, two logical operators. It can be and or it can be or. As in this case, I'll go back to default. I will say here frame change. Or we have one here, it can still be here. This one, gestation weeks, for example. Gestation weeks, I want it to browse between 30 and 35 gestation weeks, for example. Browse to if for two or more conditional statements. If for two or more conditional statements. So here I can say browse if gestation weeks. This one. Gestation weeks is greater than or equals to 30. And the same thing, gestation weeks, less than or equals to 35. Less than or equals to 35. So here I have used the conditional operator. So you see here, the only ones which qualified this are these guys. You see here 22, it means from serial number 1 to 21, no one qualified. Then from 23 to 72, no one qualified. Just like that. This is the scenario you can use and. But now, STATA has provided a helper function. And which is, you can say, instead of using this range, you can say browse if, you can use the function called in range. So this is the function which take a place of conditional statement in the operators. So you put here your variable, and you put your lower limit, and you put your upper limit. It will do the same thing. Like this time, let me put 33 to see how this is reduced. So you see here, all of them will range between 30 and 33. So in range is alternative to this. In range is alternative to write these two conditional statements because your code is going to be very long. So you can always simplify this by using in range. So this is number one. Another case where you can use two or more conditional statements, you can say browse. Here I have used one variable case. Browse if gestation weeks is greater than 30. Is greater than 30. And at the same time, now you pick another variable. because here I'll just browse. Let me browse to bring back the whole thing. Here, gestation weeks greater than 30, but at the same time, in hypertension, I need a hypertensive case, which is 1. Hypertension 1. So you see here, you can use and. If it is one variable, you use it to create limits, but you can use this to strictly browse two variables. If browse if gestation weeks greater than 30 and. So you see here, you must be greater than 30 in gestation. Let me put it a bit strict, 35, greater than 35. So you see it here, you must have gestation weeks above 35, and at the same times, you must have hypertension status. So this is the end. You can also use or. Or. For or, it means that the qualification is one among these two. If you qualify to either of these, you're okay. So the moment you see non-hypertensive here, it means the gestation weeks must be greater than 35. The moment you see someone who is less than 35, let me check. Someone is less than 35. Do we have someone less than 35? Here, like this one. Then she must be hypertensive. Or you can have both. So if it is non-hypertensive, then it means you are greater than 35 in gestation weeks. Or if it is gestation weeks 27, which is less than 35, you must be hypertensive. Or you can have both. This is the difference between or and that one. But you can use or for one case. Browse if, and let me check if I have a categorical variable with several cases. This data do not have. So let me go back to auto switch, frame change default. Frame change default. So here, I will use this. We have poor, we have good, average is coded 3, good is coded 4, and I think poor is coded 1. So I can say this browse if rep 78 is equal to 1, or rep 78 is equal to 3, or rep 78 maybe is equal to 5. This 3. So you see here, either you have average, or you have excellent, or poor. But if the reference is just one variable, rep 78, unlike this where you have two different variables, just like in range, we are using it as a helpers for this. Here you have the command called inlist. Browse if, then you put inlist here. Inlist is more convenient, and then you put your reference variable, and then you list your codes 1, 3, 5. So you see this one, it will become easier even to add or removing a statement. So it's like here, we have captured 3 conditional statements just in this one function. So this is how you can use if statement. Unless you have a question, but I will go to in. In is very simple. The use of if and the in keyword. Number 1 here, use of if keyword. Now we are done here, we'll go to in. The use of in keyword. Use of in keyword. For in, here I forgot, even if it is if, still you could have the ability to say help if. Help if. What will you get from there? Command if expression. See it here. But you also can say here, help in. Help in. In has just 4 kinds of usage. Because in use observation position as a criteria. If use variable condition as a criteria. But if is different. So if, just like if, in also ignores some of the observations. But unlike if, which use variable as a criteria, in use observation position as a criteria. How? Check these 4 possibilities. Either you just put one observation, or the moment you see hash, it means you need to specify number, or from certain number to certain number, or from certain number to last, or from first to certain number. So those 4 possibilities. If here I come and say browse in 6, it will browse only one record which occupies 60 position. Take this number here. Because when you say observations positions, what do we mean? This 1, 2 up to last. 1, 2 up to last. For this figure, it means up to 74, because it depends on the number of records. 1, 2 up to last. So browse in 6. That is the first possibility. So you can single out a particular row by using in. Only for one record only. For 6 record only. Browse in maybe from 5th to 10. Now you use this symbol here, the same symbol you are using for dividing, but since it is preceded with in, now it is 5 through 10. From 5 to 10. You focus on this only. So you see number here, 5 to 10. And also, you can say browse in from 1st maybe to 10. 1st to 10. So that capital F will capture 1st to 10. You can use a capital F, you can use a small f. All will work the same. You can just say here, F to 6, for example. F same as F for first. These are first. And you can do from a particular number to last. Maybe I want to browse in 50 to last. 50 to last, like this. From 50 up to last. You don't need to bother yourself what is the last. And you can also use, for example, 62 L. L is same as L for last. It is a small l. So you can use capital L or small l, all the same. But also, the last one, which I prefer for you to see here, if I see browse in 10 to last, browse from 10th observation to last. This one. You see here, 10th observation to last. But if I put a negative here, if I put a negative here, it means browse last 10 observation. Last 10 observations. Browse last 10 observations. So you see, so the moment you put a negative, it means you are counting from last. This is the meaning. If you don't put a negative, we are counting this 10 from first. But if you put a negative, you are counting this 10 from last. So you pick the last element and then you count 10 observations. So as simple like that. So here we have exhausted several usage. So now I can specify the complete syntax for browse. You can write a browse var list if in. Is the order important? Of course it is. If you use a var list, then var list must come before if. Like in this case, I say browse, maybe I say browse, make, price, rep78, MPG itself, and the length. Browse this if rep78 equals to 2, for example. So you see it here. That is the correct statement. If you do this, browse if, browse if, and then after if you put var list, what will happen? Error. It is error, because this is like something come after if. So when you see the syntax, the order is also important. The order is very, very important. So here, I put this one, wrong order. Wrong syntax order. So the order is, this is correct order. So what if I do this? If and in, are they at the same level? I can say browse if rep78 equals to 3, and then in 1 to 5. So number 1, I will ignore this for you to see. Sorry, equals to 3, not 10. You see only average. And after this, I say in 5. You see this? The first 5 now. Average, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Or let me say the first 7. You see, the one which meet condition, but they occupy position 1 to 7 are only these 4. We have so many which are average, but how many have occupied position 1 to 4? They are only 4. Can I reverse this order? Can I say browse in 1, 7 if rep78 equals to 3? This one is okay because if and in are the same level. Correct? Because if and in are at the same level of command. Unlike var list and if, or var list and in. So for the case of if and in, you can start either start with if then in, or start with in then if. I have stayed here for a while because the if and the in are very, very important. Do you have any question before I dive now to other commands, which now we can just move easily from there? If you have a question about the use of if and in, you are welcome. So if no, now I'll use this opportunity now to start exploring the data. The rest now are direct, because most of them use either if or in. Now list the command list. I think this is number 3. Command list. Help list. What is list? List is just the same as browse. Just the same as browse, but it displays the native values in this in results window. Instead of having a separate window, everything is displayed from there. Like if I just write a list, you see your results window, it will be a little bit a mess because of the resolution. So you want to enjoy this, pick list with several variables, because how it is written, var list, if in, then options. I want to go to options. I'll just use var list and maybe only if. Maybe I want to specify, I want to see the values of make, price, and maybe length. List with var list. So before browse window were introduced, I think they were introduced in STATA 11 or 12, I'm not sure. They were using list to display everything in the results window. So those native values, now you see them here. Exactly the same values, but instead of observing them in a separate window, you'll find them here. So if I want maybe impose a certain condition, and just say only for price greater than 80,000. So you can use this with if, and we'll see them here. Still, it will show you how many qualified observation, 9, 11, 12, 13, 26, like that. So these lines here are a group of 5 records to improve visibility. But if you don't want them, you can remove them. You can remove them by using, I think, use the display format of each variable. You can ignore list of observation number by using this. You can abbreviate variable names, or you can display all level factor variables. The rest you can try. But here, let me check. Those are mains. What are other options? Use double spaced lines. Separator, draw separator every lines, SEP and DS, as well as yeah, I will use these 3 to see. Clean, for example, this one, since it is an option, it comes after comma, so I can use clean, suppress lines. You see them here. So this time, no lines at all. No lines at all. Just see the clean head or divider. Divider lines between columns. You can put a divider because default is to divide only rows. So divider. If you want to also columns to be divided, you see the inserted columns, but also can change. Instead of default being 5 lines, you can say I need to separate line rows after maybe 3. After 3 lines, observe it here. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, except the last one. If I put 3, It means you have a display in this form. You separate after every 3 lines. And the last one, I can say, let me put ds, comma ds. What will happen? See this? It's like a box. It's like a box. And you have double lines separating between one and the other. The rest you can try on your own, try on the error to add more knowledge. So this is list. It works the same as browse. So you want to see particular data in your results window, you can make use of list command. So that is for list. Another command which you can move on with is describe. Describe command. Command describe. Command describe. Command describe. Say help describe. You see it here, it says describe var list memory option. All these are options. All these are options. You can just write as describe and simply you can put in _d and it will work. It will work. And also you can describe data which is still in your computer memory. And here I will show I'll show this direct. In current, describe current data in memory. So like here, you can just write describe, it will describe the entire data. Why describe is very important. It displays 5 information. Number 1, first of all, to give you the summary at the top. How many observations do you have in this data? How many variables do you have? 74 observations, 12 variables. This thing which you can also see it here. Also, it gives you the label of the data, but also it gives you the list of all variable names. Since you have 12, all of them are here. And here now you can remember those data types. So by looking this storage type, we can understand if this data is a string or numeric. Like, is make string or numeric. The moment you start with str, it is a string. All string variables start with str. And what is the meaning of 18? 18, it means it can hold up to 18 characters. And the rest are one of the forms of numeric, like int, it means this store int, byte, these two store integer values, while this float, they store decimal values. So you can understand your data also from this point. As for displaying format, this one will wait until when we learn formatting next lesson. Also variable label, we'll understand this when we learn this next lesson. Value label and variable label also. So from 34th and 5th columns, these are upcoming lessons. So the moment you learn those and we come back here, you'll understand them clearly. For those who are using it to STATA, they will get a clue of what I'm talking about. Okay? This is it. So this is describe. That is one form. Describe data from other frame. Describe data from other frame without switching. Without switching. Because if you switch and then write describe it, describe that one. But maybe I want to describe NLSW without switching. Here I'll say frame NLSW, then put this full colon, and then you write describe. So the data we have in memory is out of 2, but what you have described here is data from another frame. It gives the summary. How many observations are there? How many variables? So the same, we have byte, 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 float. We don't have a single string variable here. And the several has got value labels, and most all of them, they got variable label. So this is the case. Another one is describe data from local disk. Describe data from local disk. Must be STATA data. This is the condition. Because when you go to help here, you see this one, describe using file name. So this cannot be any file name like Excel or whatever. It must be a STATA. So if I do it here, I type dir. I type dir. How many STATA files do we have from there? Among those STATA files, I have demo2. I have demo2. So I can come here and say describe what? Describe, the syntax says using. Various is option, but using do not have square brackets, so it is mandatory. It is mandatory. So when you put using, STATA understand that this comes from local disk. We didn't capture this in frame, and it is not in memory. It is directly there from local disk. So you see this. It is described directly from there. This file has got 117 observations and 40 variables. So it is as simple like that. How about options? Describe options. Describe options. We have very important options here for describe. So I'll go back to my default, which is auto. Auto, this one. Make it so and so. We have several options here. We have simple. We have short, we have full names, we have numbers, we have replace, we have clear. So for var list, the var list will come later. I'll just do simple, short, full names, and numbers. I'll ignore the rest. So here I'll just say describe simple. What is describe simple? You have the explanation here. Display only variable names. Display only variable names. So this is the meaning of describe simple. So instead, that first column is the only one which is returned. And instead of returning everything, to return just that first column. So only variable names. But you can recall this, the use of underline. The use of underline. Describe, you can shorten it as D, and the simple you can shorten it as SI. So simply, the same results can be achieved by DSI, short form of describe simple. So you want to only names, this is how you can do it. Just like that. What else? Another thing is describe short. See it here, describe short. Describe short, comma, short. Describe short. This one will display only general information. Display only general information of the data. That top part of the describe. So you see the top part of the data, general information, observation, and sorted by. It ignores everything about the variables and its attributes. Also, you can shorten this as D, S. Short form of describe short. Short form of describe short. This thing. So the use of underlining now. Short form of describe short. And what else? Describe, then numbers. This is to attach the column position. Column position, number position. Display variable number along with name. So when you put numbers, it means this is 12th variable, 6th variable, first variable. So by default, they are not there. And as usual, you can just write D, N because of what? Describe is underlined and the number is underlined. Like that, short form of describe numbers. Short form of describe numbers. The last thing is describe full names. Describe full names. It happens if the name is too long, by default, it always cut short. Do not abbreviate variable names. So this case, you cannot see it vividly. This one do not have it because the names are short. But if the names are long, you'll find something similar to this. Similar to this. So to avoid this, you say full name. And you can shorten this as D, F. Short form of describe full names. So the rest, you don't use them much, but they are there, they will help you. So this is describe. Alongside with describe, we have another command which is command DS. Similar to, this is similar to describe simple. So similar to describe simple, but it has got more uses which you're going to see them later. So like in this case, let me say here, describe using demo2 data. Describe using demo2 data, comma, simple. What will happen? You see this? The names are here. But instead of all this, I'll remove this. I can just type DS. So this also will describe variable names. Describe variable names with ease, but it has got this option. You can put V32 display maximum full names. For some of the cases, if we use describe simple, if the names are very long or so long, you'll find that names are cut short. For all data set, we don't have long names to demonstrate that case. That is DS. Another command which is related to describe is called command look for. Look for. What is this look for? This look for is very important because sometimes you don't remember. Help look for. Help look for. Sometimes it's string. Sometimes we don't remember. We don't remember the variable name, but you may have a hint. So what look for will do, whatever the character you put there, it will go to either variable name or variable label. And the moment it is founded, it will return describe of that particular variable. All this time, I did describe the overall thing. You can also describe a specific variable, and the price, for example. Describe with a specific variable, because variables is an option. So you can have describe with a specific variable. Describe would not go with if. So if you try to put if here, you will get error. Because use if it is specified in a syntax. If not allowed. So this is the wrong syntax. So use if. This is the wrong syntax. Why wrong syntax? Because if you go to help, you will never find if here. So if is not part of the syntax. So use if and only if it is there. So look for, check for example this one. I want to check this characteristics here. Inch, in. Wherever in is present, that variable will be returned, either from variable label or from variable name. Look for in, for example. So if you look for in, it will go to the entire data. It will scan that. If it is found, it will describe it. Check. It is not there, or it requires double quotes. Oh, no. This is wrong. Help look for, and then the command is look for in. Look for in. We have 4 variables here. Why headroom is returned? Because the in is there. Why length is returned? Because the in is there. Why displacement is returned? Because the in is there. Why foreign is returned? Because in is here. And sometimes it may find that content from variable name. Maybe I can say look for LE. LE. After obtaining that, it will describe it directly. MPG. Why MPG is returned? Because it has LE here. Why length is returned? Because it has LE here. Why time is returned? Because it has got LE somewhere here. So if you don't remember the variable name, but you can guess the characters, you are allowed to use look for. It is very, very helpful, because once you get look for, you'll come here and see the variable name now, and you can use this to your further commands. So this is also related to describe, and you can put this for more than one character, in and le altogether. You see here, MPG comes because of le, but this comes because of in. And you have choices. You can enclose them with the quotes, you can ignore. If I put this, it means there are two different cases. These are two different cases. Look for. You see, you can pass the first string, second up to last. You are also allowed. I said the session could be short, but if and the in took a lot of time, so I'll be forced to go to 2 hours. So this is look for, very, very helpful. Command look for. Another command is command codebook. Command codebook. I think this is number 6. I'm not sure. Look for and DS, I didn't put number because they are related to describe codebook. Codebook. So here you can say help codebook. Codebook is more or less like describe. They serve similar purposes. The problem is, but this one has got if or in. If I write here codebook, plain, because what is the syntax? The basic syntax is codebook. The rest are all options. If in options, those are enclosed with double quotes. It will provide a description for all variables from first to last. And you see it here. Unlike describe, which provide everything in compact, this one, it is more detailed, but it is so flexible. So most of the time, I prefer to do this with a single variable and compare this with describe. So like in this case, I'll put a codebook, make, and describe make to show you the differences. Codebook make, describe make. This one gives you this information, string 18. Also, codebook gives you the same information, string. This one gives you the name of the variable, which is make. Codebook also provides similar information. What you see at your top left, it is variable name. Describe provide variable label at your right. Codebook also provide that at your top right. They are not named, but you understand them by learning. But this codebook provides more information. It gives you how many unique values are there. You cannot have this from describe. And it also shows you how many missing values are there. It gives you this. Like in this case, missing value for string is double quotes with no space. So 0 missing value out of 74 observation. And it will even print some of the examples for you. Let us check another variable. This was the case of a string. How about the case of categorical? Codebook rep 78. Codebook rep 78. Rep 78, describe rep 78. What can you get from codebook and what can you get from describe? The other features are the same. Names are there. The type of variable is int. Also, codebook will tell you that this is int. It will give it usually say it is numeric, then int. Since this is a labeled variable, the describe will tell you the label value is repair. Codebook also will tell you the label value is repair, although it's just written as a label. The variable label repair record 1978. Codebook also provided that information. But what more do we have which are not there in Describe? In Describe, they provide format, but Codebook do not provide format. Format is not there. But also Codebook provides something which is not there in Describe. If it is a categorical variable, it prints something like a frequency table. First of all, how many poor, how many fair, up to excellent. And it even associates each label with a code. Poor is coded 1, fair is coded 2, average is coded 3. As you can recall this from browse. From browse. This is what you see behind here. So when you want to see them in a single text, you can use Codebook. So these are numeric code associated with each label. It will also tell you we have 5 missing values out of 74 observations. And from this 74, how many uniques are 5? So this also can give you or can prompt, do we have duplicates of these variables or not? If you find that the unique values are the same as number of observation, it means there is no repetition, just like this case here. Total number of observations, 74, unique value, 74. It means each value appeared only once. Each value appeared only once. It even gives you the range, the minimum value and the maximum value. So if it is a categorical, it provides this in this particular form. What if it is numeric like a price? What if it is numeric like a price? Price. The codebook will give you another shape. So codebook is always flexible. This one will stick to its layout. But codebook, once more, it is flexible. Instead of providing something like a frequency table here, since this is a numeric variable, it provides summary. It gives you percentile, like this is quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3. It gives you mean and the standard deviation. It gives you the minimum value and the maximum value. It gives you the status of missing and total number of observations. How many unique values? It means no duplication. And the type of data is integer. And lastly, I can just write describe, and I can write a codebook with one option. The rest you can try to look them on your own. I will use this one, compact. Compact. You can also write _C. You can also put _C. When you put a compact, it means now you can describe everything instead of putting every component in one in the video layout. Here, this is a describe, but now you see this. This is a codebook. It has something similar to describe, like the first and the last columns are the same as the one we get from describe, but the intermediate one are different. This one provides a number of observations, like you know that this rep 78 you have missing. It provides a number of unique values, so you can compare. If they are the same, it means no duplicates. If they are not the same, it means there is a repetition of a number. For numeric, it provides mean summary. For string, it displays missing. It gives mean and maximum values, some which is different to describe. So which one should you use over the other? There is no true answer to this. It will depend with what we are looking for. Because describe and the codebook are always complementing each other. Always complementing each other. So if the information you are looking is available in both, choose either. But if it is only available in describe, like the display format, then go to describe. But if it is only available in codebook, like the code values, then only go to codebook. So this is codebook command. Then we're almost there. Tabulate command and the summarize command. These two are used to also for data description, although are there for analysis, but you can also use them for description. 7 tabulate command. So you use this for categorical data. For categorical data with limited response, like tabulate rep 78. Tabulate rep 78. See them here. So you can easily check your data before you maybe you're going to visualization or something else. Or simply you can write this as tab rep 78. Like this. And if you need to tabulate more than one, you can say tabulate this, then foreign. If you do this, this is cross tab. This is cross tab, cross tabulation. This is cross tabulation. But if you need each of this variable, frequency table for each frequency per variable, per var name, then use tab 1. You get this from help tabulate one way. Help tabulate one way. See it here, tabulate or tab 1. Tabulate or tab 1. Like this. You want to know if you have missings in that particular variable or not. You can always add the option M or missing. The rest you will learn them later, and there's even some will ignore them totally. You can add missing or M. Like this. You see here, if the variables got missing, now it is observed here. Observed here. The rest you will see them when it comes to analysis. And then summarize command for ratio the interval data. Something like price, length. So you come here and say summarize price, length, maybe PG. Like that. You see the summarize, it provides minimum, maximum. Just a quick look of your data. You can shorten this command as so or summarize sum. We're going to use them a lot from now on. So like this. But you can add one more important option, which is detail. Detail. Sometimes you want to see more than this. So here, each variable will be treated independently. It will start with the price, not only maximum and the minimum. It provides the 4 smallest and the 4 largest values. It also provides the percentile. You see median, you see 21st quartile, you see 30th quartile. It provides mean, standard deviation, variance, skewness, kurtosis. So it will do that for each variable independently. So this is the summarize. The last but not least, we're almost there, is inspect. Inspect command. Command inspect. Command inspect. I think this is 8. Command inspect for numeric data type. This is very important because it provides several stuffs here. Oh, they are here. It gives you how many zero, positive and negative values, how many integer, how many non-integer, number of unique values, the number of missings. It provides even a small histogram. Let us do inspect headroom or inspect price or whatever, and you can do it for more than one. Inspect headroom, inspect price, inspect 78. I'll put a make also for you to see that. Make will not fit this because it is not a numeric data. Let us now go to one after another. For headroom, headroom, it says what? First of all, the data has got 74 observations. This is what you see down here. How many missing? No missing. All observation has got values. From this, how many positive? 74. From positive, how many integers? 37. How many non-integers? 37. We don't have zero, don't have negative. If we could have them, we can see description here. And a little bit of this histogram to check the distribution of the data from minimum 1.5 to maximum 8. It also tells you how many unique values are there. 8 unique values. As for price, this price has got 74 observations, all integers, no missing. That's why it is 74 everywhere. And you can see the data is it is somehow skewed. And how many unique values? There are 74. Minimum 3,281, maximum 15,196. As for F78, I wanted you to see this, the distribution from 1 to 5, but it tells you that you have 5 missing. So among the commands which you can use when you want to look for missing data, you can use this. Now check this case if you pass in a string data. For string data, it tells you all of them are missing. That's why you are not recommended to use string with inspect. Inspect is used only for numeric. If you put a string here, you'll get a status that all values are missing, something which is not true. The values are there. They are here. But only that the command is used only for numeric. So if you want to inspect the missing value for string, use inspect not suitable for string. So if the data is a string, just go back to codebook. Use the codebook. It will tell you if indeed you have missing. And you'll see it here that there is no missing, 0 out of 74. And we can conclude with the compare command. Compare command. This compare helps you to make comparisons of two variables. Help compare. Let me call the syntax is just to put variable 1 and variable 2, and then you can use if, and by is also allowed. Let me use this data, web use full auto. I will create another frame, which I'll call it auto. Frame auto, frame create auto, then frame auto, frame auto, comma, sorry, full colon, comma clear. Remember this one, since it is web use, you need internet connection. So this one, I have captured that data. So I can come down here and switch to auto. Frame change, auto to see that data. So frame change auto, it is here now. Now we have rep 78 and rep 77. I want to check, are these two the same? Are these two the same? Then you can come here and say, compare rep 78 and rep 77. Rep 78 and rep 77 to check if they are the same or not. And you'll get a good summary here. It gives you this one. It says, if it is numeric, rep 78 less than rep 77, they are 7. Rep 78 equals to rep 77, they are 43. Rep 78 greater than rep 77, they are 16. So jointly defined, they are 66. Rep 75 missing only, we have 3 missing. Jointly missing, 5. They miss in jointly missing, jointly defined, because the total needed to make 74. So in total, rep 78 alone has got 8 missing, 3 alone, and 5 which is joined. The difference, average, this is some other stuff. Let me also create, what if they're exactly the same? What should we expect? If they're exactly the same. Let me create here rep 79. I'll create another variable which I call it clone var rep 79 equals to rep 78, for example. These two, we're going to learn about this command later. So let me compare this. If you compare rep 78 and rep 79, since this is exactly the same, you see it here. Rep 78, 69, jointly defined, jointly missing, and you'll see 0, 0 here everywhere. So when you see this statement or this status, it means those two variables are exactly the same, because the one I have defined it is here. Like that. So up to this point, I have exhausted the data description commands. All these commands are helper commands which are going to be used alongside with the data manipulation and other stuff. Always you may refer to one of these. And we may have others, but these are most common. If you have questions, karibuni. If not, we end our session here. Una swali? Hello, hello. No question. Mnanisikia kwanza?
Tunakusikia.
Tunakusikia.
Okay, because data description is, I always say it is the easiest part in STATA. So it is so direct because we didn't manipulate any data. We just need to see the features within our data. So this is the data description. Get prepared for data formatting next week, which is like a prerequisite for data manipulation. So always start with data formatting, then data manipulation. For data manipulation, I think you're going to have 2 up to 3 sessions, because it is going to be the last part of STATA for beginner. So I still have 4 maximum 4 sessions from today to finalize the beginner part. So if no question, let us end here.
Asante mwalimu, tunashukuru.
Karibu.
Thank you very much.
Answer.
Yeah.